So a couple weeks back, I shared a video of a young black man who was sharing his experience in quote unquote Palestine as a black man. And in that video, according to his own words, there was a section carved out where most of the black Arabs or black Muslims or black quote unquote Palestinians lived that was named the slave quarters. He also went on to explain the experiences that black people had in this country. A little while back before that, I came across a video where a black woman who once was a so-called Free Palestine sort of activist, one of the many brainwashed individuals out there believing in this propaganda, she was going to go out to quote unquote Palestine and essentially show the world who these people truly were, only to realize the amount of racism that she faced there. And so since then, I've really been on this, I guess, personal journey to share as much as I can, not just from what I'm learning as far as the information, but also people's personal experiences. Because when it's all said and done, nothing hits like somebody telling their own story and what's actually going on in the ground. And so I thought that, I might as well give the floor to this young man over here who is going to share his experience in Israel. What is it like for a young black man in the so-called apartheid state known as Israel? The same apartheid state where Muslims and Arabs can be doctors, lawyers, and politicians. But dare a single Jew leave their own homeland and they may never come back home? That sort of apartheid state, right? Where everybody is equal, including those who may wish death upon them. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this video here. Let's see what's going on in Buddy's experience.
Okay, so I finally figured out why people hate Israel now. I finally figured it out. And it's because most of them never been here before. And when you get a chance to visit Israel, like me, then you can see all of the hate towards it is very performative and very media driven, because it is nothing like the media shows you. But is the country perfect? No, no place is. But to reduce an entire nation, its people, its culture, its complexity down to a single narrative, to me is just lazy. I get a lot of hate messages. I get a lot of hate comments because of the videos I post about Israel. And honestly, I don't care.
I've said this for a while, by the way. If you want just an easy life, pretend to care about what is happening in Gaza. Hold up one of these so-called Palestinian flags. Talk down on, slander, or even wish death upon the people of Israel. Yeah, that's all you pretty much have to do. If you want to be popular, if you want to fit in to the norm, into essentially what the masses have clinged onto, not just on the left, but also many on the so-called right, as we're seeing it, as James Lindsay would label them, the woke right. That's all you got to do now. So this side is always going to get you a lot more hate. I've seen that in my own personal experience at this point. As vocal as I have now been about what's actually happening in Israel and the sentiments that are held towards not just Israel, but America by these jihadists. Yeah, I've not necessarily been at the cool kids table for the last few months.
Because if you've been here, like I've been here, then you'll see the people want nothing but peace. The people are very community based. They love each other. They're together. Even during the WAR that's going on right now, the country wants nothing but love. They embrace people. They got the beautiful beaches here, the culture, the nightlife. The women, of course, are just beautiful. And so when you have all of these...
Don't get yourself snatched up, bruh. Don't get yourself snatched up now.
things, people hate. People are going to hate. And with a country that's been through so much and the people are so positive, The people don't like that. The outside world doesn't like that. And so that's why I think a lot of the hate comes from the outside, because you've never been in. You've never been inside Tel Aviv. You've never been inside Israel. And so once you visit, you can form your own opinion, like me, and you can show your side, like I'm showing my side, which is super positive. And then you'll realize that a lot of this hate, it stems from BS. It's not real. It's propaganda. And it's media, and it's very media driven. And so from that, I understand why people hate Israel, because y'all never been here before.
So, it's interesting when he speaks of because you haven't been here. When you have not actually associated with, when you've not been around a certain group of individuals or a person, it's easy to dehumanize them. And that's one of the most convenient aspects of all of this, right? Is because you have not sat across a table from, have not broken bread with these people. Like, one of my own experiences has been being around a Jewish community. I have been, in the midst of Muslims, and I've been in the midst of Jews practicing Orthodox Jews, as well as fundamentalist Muslims. That's how I'm able to come to the conclusion that I come up to. It's, me educating myself, understanding the historic perspective, as well as where we currently are, how things got here, what's actually going on the ground, but also, again, personal experience. And you start to see that, wait, these people are actually good people, solid people. We've been told that they're these evil, conniving, money hungry, which is, I might have to do a whole video just on the trope of money. We pretend like the only greed comes from Jewish people. Really? We're going to pretend that most people in society don't wake up at a time in the morning they don't want to get up to get to a job they don't want to be at for money. That they're not pinching every penny. We like to pretend it's not us. We're always the most virtuous. I even get that in my own experience, right? My own life perspective is I feel that I am so much more generous than most people. I must be more. But those Jews, the pesky Jews, after every single shekel and dime. Yeah, you start to realize that, these are people like you, just trying to live their lives just like you, raise their families up just like you, live in peace just like you. There's a humanizing element that, the propagandists, they can't let you latch onto. They have to make a caricature. That's why they're always showing these images and depictions that are caricatures. That's why even these gung-ho groypers of sort, these gung-ho neo-schmazis of the world always are showing caricature, because if they showed you what these people actually are, who they actually are, you might, God forbid, actually start to see the humanity in them. And if you're humane in yourself, you're not a complete sociopath, then there could actually be a connection and a relation there. That's why when it even comes to Muslims, I don't say individual Muslims, but if you're somebody who is given to this ideology that is a dangerous ideology, and the reason it's dangerous is because it quite literally calls for violence. It calls for violence. It is a part of the baked in theology or the doctrine itself. And so if you latch onto that, then yes, you're going to be given over to a violent mindset. If that part of you is activated, you're going to feel as if you have to live up to this thing. There are many Muslims who are trying to break away or are, in betweens. But you still have to say, I stand with them. That's why there's so much silence around these issues. You don't see the condemnation of Hamas anywhere near what you see the condemnation of a country that is looking to protect itself from those who have been looking to destroy them since the very beginning of their own inception. It's mind-blowing. But again, when you have, especially somebody who's not of the ilk, right? Like when it comes to, let's say, stories of what it's like to be in Iran right now under this Islamist Brotherhood sort of regime that is suppressing the people. It's important to hear from those people there. But when you hear about what is life like, in a place that is either glorified and glamorized by certain people, have those people go there. What is it like, in Israel? It might be better not to necessarily just hear from the Jews there. We want to hear from the Muslims there. We want to hear from black men and black women there. What is your actual experience? And it starts to break those mental shackles. That's at least my belief. You know, if you're so far gone in your hatred, you're so far gone in your conspiracy theorizing, these rabbit holes that have further solidified your hatred and your scapegoating onto these people, then it's going to take a whirlwind of an experience to break you free from that. I get that part. But most decent human beings who are already actually seeking for truth, they're not looking to solidify their own stance already. They're open to it. These sorts of things will naturally do that, right? Because as humans, we're compelled more often than not by emotion than we are by the logic. The logic can seep in once the emotional hits, once the human aspect hits, once the feely part hits. And so, you know, I'm thankful that people are finally speaking. You know, what was it that I was listening to this morning? Recommended by none other than Glenn Beck. Shout out to Glenn Beck. He was on JNS TV. Y'all should check that interview out. Or JTV, excuse me, JNS TV. I think JNS is another organization or platform. But he led me to, who is it? Is it Alexander Skavosky? What is it? Lord have mercy. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Good Lord. But he wrote Live Not by Lies. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful excerpt. Always when you have the opportunity, tell the truth. If a lie is around you, you don't have to be grandiose and, you know, over the top or whatever, even get on a mic like I am, etc. But in your daily life, somebody says something that's not true, call it out. Hey, that's not actually right. That's not true. That's not accurate. No, that's not actually what's going on. You don't have to get into back and forth, but call it out, and it creates the boldness. And it creates a ripple effect in the world, because more times than not, there are other people who believe the same thing. I thought when I started speaking on this, I was going to lose most of the followers that I had before, because I didn't know who was actually, you know, on the side of truth and who was just there because they wanted to be entertained, or they felt that my message was actually something other than what it was. And so when I started speaking on this, I got a lot of backlash. First video I put out, you know, titled like "Blame It on the Jews." I put that on a schedule and it got like 11 dislikes or something, or 11 comments and like 5-6 dislikes before the video even airs. They wouldn't even give it a chance. And I'm like, damn, is this just most people follow me think like this? And then when I started speaking up, I realized there's so many people out there who are good-hearted human beings who are ready for the truth and are desiring and are wanting that. And that's all there is to it. And so when we all do it, and we stop being a silent majority, but instead we become, you know, a vocal majority, things have no choice but to change, because most other people are going to be followers, and they're going to follow wherever the trend is going. And so for me, I just believe to continue to put the trend towards the truth, and the truth is never, you know, stands for violence and stands for going against life. The truth is never to destroy. The truth is to heal. The truth is to protect and preserve freedom. It's always going to lean towards that direction. It's never going to go towards the staples of jihadism or, you know, left-wing ideology, leftist ideology. It's never going to go towards fascism. It's always going to find itself in freedom, the God-given freedom that we all have and we can all experience if we use it and we aren't afraid. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. is taken. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.